Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your fourth and final video blog of the night for Sunday, July 20th, 2014. I did an extra video blog today because there was a important event that happened early this morning. Usually I try to do at least 3 a day, but if there's major news or an event like a death of a celebrity or a major news story, I break it and do a video blog about that. So it's an extra video blog of a day. I like to do at least 3 of these a day, maybe up to 4 or maybe 5 or 6, but I would never do more than 6 because I don't want to be boring all of you out being so many blogs in a day, because I will eventually run out of topics. If I had like 3 to 6 a day, that's my ideal thing for these blogs. Okay. And there was some little tidbits to report before my final subject. MeTV is going to be broadcasting reruns of the classic 1960s sitcom The Andy Griffith Show beginning this fall, and they ran a teaser trailer today about it. Andy Griffith Show been very popular in reruns on Superstation WTBS, TV Land. It was seen locally in the Boston market for many years on WSBK TV 38, and it's going to be real good. I wouldn't be surprised if more like classic television shows have teaser trailers on MeTV the next few days, because I think they're going to be replacing a lot of the shows they have on MeTV right now with the new ones that they're previewing for trailers. We'll wait and see about that. And on to my fourth and final video blog of the night, and it's about the greatest play-by-play announcer in the history of college football, Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson was a sports broadcaster for over 50 years, and he's associated with being on ABC Sports for 41 years. Keith started his career back in 1952 calling Washington State football games on the radio, and then he went into worked for a television station and a radio station in Seattle, Washington, which he did news and sports as well. Keith was the first American broadcaster to broadcast a sporting event in the Soviet Union back in 1958, when the Washington State rolling team went to Russia. And in 1965, Keith signed with ABC Sports to call Major League Baseball games and be on Wide World of Sports as one of the hosts. But the next year, 1966, started his most famous thing he did was being the lead play-by-play announcer of college football on ABC. For the next 40 years, Keith was the #1 play-by-play announcer on ABC, saying his famous quotes, "Whoa, Nelly," or "Fumble," or "Hold the phone," when there was a penalty flag on the play. Keith was synonymous with college football. He called about 15 Sugar Bowl games and 14 Rose Bowl games, and he was identified mainly with college football. And later on, Keith Jackson also called the NBA games on ABC for 4 years between 1970 and 1973. He called 3 NBA finals and hosted the All-Star game. Also, he hosted the Indianapolis 500 for many years. And in 1976, Keith Jackson became the lead play-by-play announcer for Monday Night Baseball on ABC, and he called 3 World Series games. And a lot of people were criticizing ABC putting Keith Jackson as the lead play-by-play announcer, because he really wasn't a good baseball announcer. But ABC's that was their #1 play-by-play man, Keith Jackson, and they just wanted to keep him happy and stuff like that, and probably to get better ratings and stuff, and add credibility to the broadcast. Also, Keith did a lot of Olympic coverage for ABC when they had the Olympic Games. He's coached speed skating in 1980 for the Winter Games. He was offered to do the men's hockey for the Olympics in 1980, but he was turned down, and that ultimately went to Al Michaels. Keith Jackson also called the USFL football games when ABC had them from 1983 through 1986. And he also called college basketball games on ABC for many years with Dick Vitale, and he hosts Super Bowl, one of the Super Bowls that ABC had, Super Bowl 22. And actually, for 1 year back in 1970, Keith Jackson was the original play-by-play voice for Monday Night Football, but he really didn't click with Howard Cosell and Don Meredith on the telecast, and he was dropped a year later. And by the 1990s, Keith was just solely concentrating on calling college football for ABC. He actually retired at the end of the 1998 college football season, but he was coached out of retirement in 1999 just to call games out on the West Coast, because he lived in Vancouver, British Columbia for his retirement home, and he called games for another 7 years until he finally officially retired in 2005, even though ABC really wanted him to stay on to do more games, but he just quoted, he just didn't want to die in a parking lot, jokingly. And I think ABC Sports morphed into being branded as ESPN on ABC in 2006. And also, Keith Jackson is back on the air on the Big Ten Network for a panel show once in a while. You'll see him on that. And he jokingly said one time that he would consider writing his autobiography if he lost his golf swing. Would be an interesting book. And sorry about that. Keith Jackson is one of the best sports announcers of all time, and he's legendary. It's good that he was great calling college football for so many years. That was his forte. Well, I'll be back tomorrow for at least 3 to 6 more blogs, and the subjects that I might be talking about in the coming weeks and months. More of the Hall of Fame series, which is getting to be more popular. Plus, maybe we'll have some ideas that I might have on. And coming in September, I'm going to be doing weekly NFL picks. And I'm also going to be doing previews of the NBA and NHL seasons when they come up to it. And also I'm going to have more personality profiles and more ideas, and maybe movie reviews and television shows and game shows. And I still want to get these ideas about Jim Ross's heel turn in 1996 and 1999, and ideas I would have had for that play a little fantasy booking if I want to. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Good night, Facebook friends and YouTube followers.